It's time for the Chips and Salsa Show.
The only show about Latinos for Latinos. And did we mention Latinos?
It's the Latísima.
Latinos come in all flavors, shapes, and sizes. You don't have to be Latino to enjoy chips and salsa.
Everybody loves chips and salsa.
Hi, and welcome to Chips and Salsa. You can tell that I am not Don Jorge. I am Cheryl Rosado, and Don Jorge is actually off today. He is training for his part in election integrity. He'll be working the polls for this election season of the primaries, so he's not here today. And instead, we have Nicole Mercado.
Oh, hi, everybody. Yes, I am just happy to be here in Cheryl's orbit today, the big-time host of Chips and Salsa.
Thank you. And Nicole and I are best friends. We are both active PCs in LD11. We have some different background experiences, but
more importantly, we're gymnastics moms.
Yes, we're gymnastics moms.
That's our main job.
So what we do together is great.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things to list that, we'd be here all day, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So, but we can get on with it. And today we have a wonderful guest. We have Pamela Carter, who is running for State House in LD4.
Yes.
And we are so happy to have you here.
Good to be here, girls.
Yes. So good to meet you.
Thank you. Well, great to be here, too. I love Chips and Salsa. I love Jorge and Alice, and used to come on the show when I ran before, and it just was always great fun.
Yes,
so,
good. Well, we want to keep that going.
A lot of have fun.
Yes, and so we're happy that Pamela could be here with us today because we haven't had a lot of people running for just in their local legislative district. So it's exciting to have somebody who is, of course, the big picture is always important, but here at home and the person who's going to be helping make the laws and the things for everything that goes on at home is something that we're excited to support. And you do not have a primary opponent. Is that correct?
That is correct. Not on the Republican side. We're going into primary season right now, and there's just two, Representative Gress and myself were the only two that are running for the Republican nomination. So it's really a blessing because I don't have to beat up another Republican.
Good. That's
And
always
I like that. I can
great.
just run against the left.
Mm-hmm. You can
the
save your
radical left,
energies
and I
for
can save it
focusing
for-
there.
That's
Mhm.
right. That's right. So, and this is a District 4 is Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, and North Phoenix. And it is one of the, if not the most competitive, most expensive, and a swing district. So it's extremely important that I win this seat for the Republican Party to keep our majority. There's only one seat majority in the House, one seat in the Senate. So if we lose another seat, that means either the House or the Senate race. It will be a loss for Arizona. So I am a fourth generation native Arizonan. I love this state. I was born and raised here. And that's a story for another day, how I was born in Miami, Arizona.
And you mentioned before that you have always minus the birth, lived in the same district. And so I think that's really important. You get a lot of carpetbaggers around or people who, I can, and there's nothing wrong with moving to a new place and wanting to jump in and be active and help. But the fact that when you grew up somewhere, when your heart is with that community, there's nothing like that. And the way that you can look out, the way that the issues that have been.
Well, I'm a fourth generation native Arizonan. My great-grandfather on my mom's side came over from Mexico. So I have a real love for the Latino community. My grandmother, I used to go and visit her in Globe all the time. We happened to be up there visiting my grandmother when I was born in Inspiration Hospital. I think it was very prophetic. And was a breech birth.
Ooh.
So my mom did not have a cesarean, but I always heard about, how Mexican moms are? You almost killed me, big boy.
That doesn't sound at all like the Mexican.
No, not at all. Huh? the guilt trip. It's the trip that keeps on giving all your life.
Yes,
but
never ending.
Never ending. But I love her, and so we were up there visiting my grandmother, and I was decided to be born. I decided I wasn't going to wait any longer, and if she suffered, then that's what's going to happen.
That's what needed to happen.
Well, you had to suffer. You were born in Miami. So.
I know.
Were
your other siblings then born?
Yeah, they were
Phoenix,
all born in
all
Phoenix.
over?
Yeah,
okay.
Phoenix. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then my children were also born, here in Phoenix. So, I love this state, and actually grew up in District 4. But now I'm recalling something. I think we did live in Safford when I was maybe 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
My dad had a FOF business. He had a business. He was a business owner. And now I recall that we didn't just move, that we actually ended up staying there because my mom wanted to be close to her mom in Globe. Wow. So we did live in Safford. I think I was about 2 years old when we moved down to the valley. But I was born here, so I can still claim that I'm a native Arizona. Oh, yeah. How about you two? Did you grow up here?
Yes, I'm third generation, and I was born right here. And
I was actually born in a communist country, California. California.
Yes. Unfortunately.
But I've been here since I was 6 months old. But I did grow up in the mining towns. Globe, Kearney, Morenci. So we actually used to go grocery shopping in Safford from Morenci.
Oh,
yes.
My.
So I'm very familiar with
Safford
all of those.
Was the big town.
That was going to town. Uh-huh.
Well, my great grandfather came over to work in the copper mines.
Okay.
And so I love the miners. I love the ranchers. And then my mom's side of the family became ranchers. We had cattle, we had horse ranches, and owned a lot of acreage here in Arizona. So I'm really, really, I think I just have the deep roots.
Yeah.
Like you say, in that Globe area. We always visited my grandmother. I don't know if you went through this, but the drive from Phoenix to Globe, Miami, all those curves.
Yep, through the mountains.
I was always afraid we're going to get killed, Mom, if you keep coming up, bringing us up here to visit Grandma, but we survived anyway.
I have made that drive one time. And it was terrifying.
Scary.
It was terrifying.
Especially
I don't
if
know
it's
that I'll ever
raining
do it again.
Well, because after you get out of Superior, you go over that bridge.
Yes.
And then you go through the tunnel, right? And then it's just all winding roads.
Oh, it's scary. It is very scary. But anyway, we survived, didn't we?
Yes, we all made it. So we're here today to have you tell us. So what issues do you feel are what you want to let LD4 know that are your passions?
Well, everything that I've heard from the residents in LD4, the border is very scary, and the crime that's coming over our borders, fentanyl, trafficking, child trafficking is coming over our borders, and it is unstopped by the Biden administration. And we did have the wall built when Trump was in office, and now we have an open border. There have been thousands every day. Millions have come in illegally. So one of my issues is I want to make sure that I support all border security, our law enforcement, and police and fire. In fact, if you have a minute, we just passed in the state legislature, our amazing Republican legislature, House and Senate passed HCR 2060, which does curtail, and it will be on our ballot, so support for anyone living in Maricopa County to sign that bill, because that will stop the illegal immigration at the border. Technically, before this, the law enforcement officers, police could not arrest somebody just because they came through an illegal point of entry. Now we have an E-Verify system where every single person needs to be verified if they're going to get a job here. And so it's really super important. that we support this bill when it comes on your ballot. And, we'll begin our early ballot is July 5th, I believe, are mailed out. And then July 30th, we will have the primary election.
Mhm.
So it's important that you get out to vote. In 2022, 300,000 Republicans did not vote. Now, I am a Republican, and I'm not going to hide that. And I believe that we have the best platform. That we want border security, we want election integrity, we want safe schools and support law enforcement. So now, because if that bill passes from the voters, and that's just not LD4, that's all of Maricopa County and our state will be on our ballot, and we can then support our law enforcement if they catch someone coming through any port of entry that is illegal. And we have thousands coming over, every month, and it's very scary.
And it was really smart of our Republican legislators to make it a ballot initiative so that we couldn't have our governor just veto it the way she likes to veto all of our important bills that we have managed to pass, and she's just been vetoing them. So this will be the will of the people.
And I believe everyone that I've talked to anyway really wants our border to be secure. They're afraid to even now. I remember growing up here because, as I mentioned, I grew up in the Arcadia, Scottsdale, Phoenix area, and I can remember we had grapefruit trees in our backyard. We had the canal. We could walk down the canal, and always feel safe. I walked to school. I walked to high school, grade school, and always never felt any sense of danger about. Now we have traffickers, the cartel that are coming, and trafficking our children and our, so.
It really isn't safe the way it used to be.
No,
My husband, he delivers for Amazon. So he is out in the valley all the time in different neighborhoods, and he tells me it doesn't matter where he's assigned, there are always what we call the zombies, and those are the people on fentanyl. They are wandering in the streets. They are all over. They make it unsafe. Even if you weren't, maybe you're not concerned about, child trafficking, your children are grown, or you don't have children and you don't care, something like that. But this is something like that affects everyone because they just walk out into traffic. I'm afraid, because I don't want to hit someone. They don't know what's going on. They are high out of their minds. And so that is something that, we all know the fentanyl is pouring in from the southern border.
The illegal drugs, and there's just a lot of crime that has increased in our even our once safe districts. In fact, I was a little bit taken this afternoon. When I was coming over here, I was getting my eyelashes done, actually, but in a nice salon. But I was in the restroom, and there was a woman with 3 children, and they were having a conversation in the bathroom. She took them into the stall and continued to have this conversation while I'm putting on my makeup, getting ready to get here. And she said, "Now, how do you use your mom and dad's debit card? How do you get cash? How do you, what does your dad do to get cash?" And she says, "Oh, I see here it's a Cash App. And do you have the, I don't know, I think she was asking for the number." And I'm sitting there, my eyes are like wide open, and I'm going, I don't think these kids. So there was a girl about 15, and there was one about maybe 10. And she was carrying a baby. But anyway, they kind of opened the door, and I said, actually, I did not care for that conversation. I got right in. I'm sorry. I'm just really bold. Because if these kids were trafficked.
You never know.
But I heard the conversation, and I let it go on for a long time. She's asking all these questions about how her mom and dad get cash. And I said, you know what? I did not care for that conversation we're having. These kids should not know how to get she was telling them how to get the cash and how to use the debit card. And she says, well, I'm a friend of the family or whatever. And I said, I don't care. Their mom should be with them if they're going to use their credit cards. And she said, well, I think you're very rude. I said, yes, I am, because I care about these kids. So that was kind of really startling to me. And whether it was true or whether it wasn't, she did kind of scurry out of there.
Yeah.
So I think if you see something, say something. Because too many times we're just, oh, I don't want to be rude. Well,
Right.
I don't care, because I wanted to make sure those kids were safe. So I looked at the little girl and I said, if you don't feel safe, call someone. So anyway.
And I think that is like the that mama that you have in
sorry, I'm
you
a
that you
mama
have
bear.
to, you have to, it just comes out, and it's that protectiveness that you feel towards children, and you feel it towards your own, of course, but the same thing. Like, there have been times when I have seen a little kid, we were at the Children's Museum, and I saw just a little kid get lost, and I saw her sit down and crying, and I felt so bad, and so I didn't want to approach her as an adult. She doesn't know. So I sent one of my kids. I said, go see if that little girl needs any help, because you see it and it speaks to you no matter what, whether they're lost or whether there's something very weird going on in a bathroom stall. Then,
It just really
you gotta,
seemed strange to me that she's showing them how to get cash and how to use the, and I thought, so anyway. That was my experience before I got here. But so that's really important to me, that we keep our kids safe in their schools. And as you know, school choice was also part of our budget. And the left has been trying to get rid of school choice, the ESA, empowerment scholarships.
Right.
There's a lot of kids that don't learn in just district public schools, and they need special care, special attention. My kids went to all three, charter, private, as well as district schools. And my daughters learned better in a charter school. My son, he just kind of went with the flow.
Well, Nicole
In
and
the
I
public
homeschool our
schools.
kids.
Oh, you do?
So we are, yes,
Yeah.
that's what we're, those fierce mama bears that, they have like all this gender identity stuff going on. And I know
Absolutely.
that Nicole has a nephew, and he was in kindergarten last year.
Yes, kindergarten.
And he came home.
Oh yeah, he was telling my daughter that his teacher told him that boys could be girls and girls could be boys if they decided to.
Yeah.
And I said, that's not true. And he goes, yes, it is. I said, well, where did you hear that from? Oh, my teacher read us a story about it. And I said, well, your teacher's wrong. And you tell your teacher that your Aunt Nicole is going to go over there and take care of that. So I told his mom. And she mentioned it to the teacher, and the teacher basically told her, just deal with it. We'll take him out during class time if you don't want him to hear the story, which already makes him feel like an outsider.
Right.
I mean, let's remove him from the class.
Not remove the curriculum.
Right.
Exactly.
So, needless to say, she is looking to get him out of that school, and I've offered to have him learn at home on the platforms that we do. So we're kind of in the talks of that, but we'll see.
And then the excuse me. Go ahead.
And that, knowing that they're telling this to kindergartners, and we try to sound the alarm. We try to make it public so that people know what is going on, because if you don't know what's going on in the schools, I mean, it's not like the teacher let his mom know. His mom didn't know, except that he had a conversation with his cousin, trying to spread this knowledge that he had.
Right.
And you guys were like, whoa, hold on now.
Well, my daughter's exact words were, no, people that believe that follow the devil.
She did.
Yes.
It's true.
Raised right.
Yep.
Yeah. I get it.
So, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I was I was at a meeting, and they were showing some of the curriculum. They're showing to K through 12 was pornographic cartoons. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yep.
I heard of it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I couldn't even watch it. I had to leave the meeting. I said, I don't want this in my mind. Had to have all this weird sexual encounters.
I went to an MCRC EGC meeting at the new building that they have in Chandler, and one of the PCs in attendance had a large like foam board, and she had taken pictures from one of those books that's in the school and put them on there. And when I first saw it, I said, "What is that?" Because it was obviously indecent and unacceptable for any sort of public display. And she said, "This is from a book that was at a school." And I said, "Are you serious?" And I said, I took a picture of it. And she said, "Don't send that to anyone because it could be, you could legally get in trouble for that." She wasn't sure. Okay. And so, to be on the safe side, of course, you're not gonna send that. And so I ended up deleting it because I was like, well, I don't want to.
You can't send
like
it,
that.
But they
right,
can
I
show
can't
it to
send
our
it.
kids.
I can't. Right, and they are showing it to children, and it might have been a little bit older, but it was definitely not anyone older than 8th grade. It wasn't a high school. It was definitely like 5th to 8th grade, somewhere in that. And I wouldn't want my children having a book like that. And if I did want my children to have a book like that, guess what? We would have it at our home. It would not be in school. It's not for that.
See, I believe in parents' rights. And we do have a Parents' Bill of Rights in our Constitution. And I believe parents should have the say with their children, not the schools, not having any kind of mandated treatment or anything like that. So I know in California, like you said, you came from California. Yeah. And wow.
They're
it's
a
really
sanctuary
sad.
state for transgender youth. So basically, once your child but runs to California, right? That escaping would be coming back. They will shelter them to go ahead and get those transgender hormones and treatments away from the parents.
In that type of and we just let it go. That's why we have to stand up now, because I believe we're in a season. It's a spiritual war.
Definitely.
And I call it manipulation, domination, control, and manipulation, of our minds. And if you repeat something over and over and over, a lot of people believe, they believe that mantra.
Right. I mean, it was the whole, this is maybe going to show how old I am, but the whole, when SNL was doing Sarah Palin and they said, "I can see Alaska from my house." And they said it so much, people literally thought that she said that. They didn't realize it was just a skit that they'd heard, because you hear it over and over again and it becomes what they think is fact, even if it's not.
Right. So I like to call this 2024 election the audacity of God, because the only way to know the truth is to, according to Charles Spurgeon, is to hold a straight stick up against a crooked stick. So if you were born with these values, biblical values, like myself, I have a degree. Have a master's degree in biblical studies as well as communications, and I've studied the scriptures in some of the original languages, Hebrew and Greek, and it's astounding to see that that was the foundation of our nation. Our founders were biblical scholars, some of them, and they stood on our constitutional rights, our first amendment rights, our Second Amendment rights. We have to make sure that our Second Amendment is fully supported here in Arizona, which it is. It is right now. So that's really super important to me, even though I'm learning to shoot a gun. I own one, but I haven't learned to shoot. It's
never too late.
I know. Well, running for office and all that, but I will stand for our Second Amendment and our First Amendment rights. And our ESA programs, empowerment. There are autistic children who just don't learn in the normal manner.
Right, and I know you can use the the ESA monies for, there is like an autism school, right? So there is that option, and I know it is, I believe it costs more than a traditional private school, so the ESA monies could help with that or take care of that. But then, like you said, there's also, there's physical therapists for them sometimes, and different speech therapy, occupational therapy, and all these different things that it's difficult if they're in a traditional school. So if they are homeschooled, then their parents are able to find the providers that they want. And if they are at the autism school, I'm sure that they offer, different things like that I'm not familiar with.
Well,
because I
in
don't
some of the
use that,
hearings, I heard from the parents of autistic children, and they could not learn in the normal, even their special ed classes. And now they can get the private tutoring at $7,000 a year that a parent will get to spend anyway. And the normally it's about $14,000 to send them to a district or public school. So this gives parents options. They don't have to, necessarily pay these huge fees. That they can actually receive the care they need through these programs. So I'm very, very happy about that.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate everyone in the legislature who worked to pass ESAs and who are working to keep them safe, because it makes a difference there are some families that, they might be well enough off that they didn't need that, but for the families that need it, it makes an incredible difference.
Yes. And so I think those are some of the issues that Arizonans care about: our border, our schools. We have to keep our schools safe. Also, water and land, that's super important. And our fuel, our gas, our electric prices, our economy. We have to make sure that inflation stays down, protecting our low taxes and that sort of thing. And so, actually, I was just at one of the, wanted to mention him, oil and gas refinery, founded in 1982 by a gentleman named Dave Alexander. I just got to meet with him at his facility, and it's right here in Arizona. Fabulous. And he gives so much to charity. He gives, to the Boy Scouts of America and all kinds of charities. What an amazing entrepreneur, as well as just a wonderful human being. So there are people like that use their finances for good. And so I was really, really blessed to be able to spend time with him and tour his facility and that sort of thing. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, if people are more interested in hearing from you, they can, I'm sure, try to see you at any of your appearances, or maybe even try and host meet and greets at their house to get you out to the voters. And to reach out to her, what is it? PamelaCarter.com.
That's right. Very easy.
Very easy. And she would love your support. I'm sure she would love if people want to join her campaign. Like she said, she does not have a Republican primary opponent. So you can jump in now, and she can use you all the way up till November.
That's right, November 5th. Yeah. We've got to win this thing.
Yep. So they'll be out canvassing and doing things like that. So anyone who's interested in donating time, money, their talents for Ms. Carter, please
just go to PamelaCarter.com. It gives all the issues that are important to me and to Arizonans, and I will fight very hard in the legislature for every Arizona family. I do, but right now I don't have my schedule.
Are you going to be at any one of the debate watch parties by chance on Thursday?
Actually, I will be at the one in Scottsdale with Lisa Borowski. She's running for mayor, and Mason Gates. They're and a couple other candidates. So it is kind of a candidate watch party as well. But come on out. Go to lisaborowski.com, and I think she's got the details there. So I will be there, and I just show up everywhere.
Okay, awesome. That sounds great. And if you are lucky enough to live in LD4, please support Pamela Carter.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we will catch you next time on Chips and Salsa. Bye.
Bye-bye.